Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Welcome, everyone, to another amazing episode of Referrals Podcast. And you're like, Maher, you always say they're amazing. And I want to ask you, have I ever been wrong? Aren't they all amazing? Isn't it amazing that these real people share their real stories about real referrals? And they're always amazing. Like, I love shining the spotlight on people that maybe the spotlight doesn't get shined on normally. I love that. And that kind of leads us to today's about a mission-driven business. And I have to be totally forthright with you. Like, I haven't dated since 1992, but I can imagine that in today's world, like, you have this arrangement where you meet with the other person on this blind date or internet date or this matchup or whatever it may be. And then you're like, I shaved my legs for this. I just want you to know that this interview is so long time coming. This interview I have been looking forward to since like family reunion and even before. Like I have been so amped up for this one that I shaved my legs for today's podcast. I shaved them. And I want you to know, this is worth shaving your legs for, people. Wait until we dive into today's content. I cannot wait for you to understand what it's like to lead with generosity, to have a mission-driven business that generates $1 billion, and it's entirely by referral. That's what we're talking about today, and I cannot wait to get to it. But I'm going to make you wait a little bit because I have to get a shout out to my friend Snacks. Snacks, you know who you are. Snacks said, I started listening to Referrals Podcast about 6 months ago, and it has transformed the way I think about networking for business, networking my business. Now I talk about referral marketing all the time, and I have implemented 7L strategies into my business, and I'm already starting to see the results of my networking efforts, my referral marketing efforts, and my event efforts. Thank you so much for putting this podcast together, your friend Snacks. I love it, Snacks. Thank you for the 5-star review on Referrals Podcast. And for those of you listening, I have to say thank you. We're on the road to 1 million downloads. We're almost there. And you, my friends, are making this possible. There are only a handful of podcasts that have over 1 million downloads. And you, the listener, you, the viewer, are making this happen. I just want to say thank you so much. Subscribe on iTunes, rate and review us. And guess what? I might share your review right here on the air, and I would love to do that. Last but not least, you're going to hear a lot of great stuff today. If you feel like this is a match for you, there is a group of people that are building their business based on love, generosity, and appreciation. And this isn't fluff and BS. And BS means bad stuff. This is not fluff. This is practical, it's tactical, and it is literally the perfect play in today's real estate. I just want you to know that you're invited to join us at the Generosity Generation. Join GenGen.com. That's Join, GenGen, GenGen.com. Join our referral network today. Get referrals tomorrow. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you make that choice. Speaking of people that I love and appreciate, are you kidding me with this today? Sheena Saydam, along with her husband, lead Saydam Properties Group at Keller Williams, a small but mighty real estate team covering the DC metro area. The team has sold $1 billion, that's a billion with a B, in real estate entirely by referral, and was Keller Williams DC Metro #1 team in 2024 and the #3 top team in DC across all brokerages in 2024. SPG, Saydam Properties Group, is known for giving back to the community and has donated over $1 million to charity and special causes. Giving is a central part of what they do and has resulted in the creation of more than a dozen clean water drinking wells in Africa, a library for a local maximum security prison, a shower truck for the homeless, and investments in military veterans, DC firefighters, school safety, after school tutoring, and athletics for children in DC, a school for 80 girls in Kisii, Kenya, and countless other projects we had to edit because of their generosity. They hold the 2025 Open Door Award, recognizing 5 years of steady partnership with MCCH. Sheena is a mom of three, bar enthusiast, and lover of nonfiction books, including 7L, which she is about to reread. Please help me welcome to the Referrals Podcast none other than Sheena Saydam. Welcome.
Oh my God. Thank you for such a warm and generous and energetic welcome. I am so honored to be here with you today and in community with this amazing, movement that you have put together. I think one thing I thought about as you were going through all of that is how you are obviously a man who shaves his legs, and I'm a woman who sometimes shaves her legs.
Nice.
You live in a very different place than I do. I live, in DC on the East Coast, and we probably have had pretty different journeys, and yet we are both coming together, bringing people together in love. And I think this is a moment in our country, in our world, where it's so needed. So I'm just so honored to be able to do this with you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for being here. Let's start with your story. What does your business and team look like today, and what did it look like when you first got started? Like, how long have you been in the business, and what did it look like then, and briefly, then give me like what it looked like today.
Yeah, so thank you. So I got into it like a lot of people, sort of by accident. The quick version is grew up in the military, moved all around the world, all around the country, which I think was great training to become a realtor because I can pretty much start a conversation with anyone. My intention was to go to law school. I had a political science degree, but I failed the LSAT twice. And so ended up working in nonprofit, which I thought that would be my thing. I just really wanted to serve. And I I lost a third job in nonprofit work. It was during the Great Recession, and figured I need to pivot here so that I can provide for myself. So I got a master's degree in national security policy and thought that I would go into the CIA and be an interrogator. And then I graduated with a $50,000 more in student loan debt, lost that job that I had, couldn't get a security clearance because I wasn't in a job that required it. And my husband suggested real estate. So that's how I got into real estate. And I was just kind of hustling in the first few years. It was the bottom of the market, 2009,
Mm,
foreclosures, short sales. It was just me for a couple years. And then I went out onto the interweb and I was looking for a transaction coordinator, virtual one, part time. That woman ended up becoming my director of operations. She lives in Houston, Texas. I live in Washington, D.C. And she
mm,
was pivotal in helping me to grow my business. Going from just a few homes a year to we sell just over 200 homes a year, which here equates to about 145 million in business, entirely by referral. No phone call, no cold calls, no buying of leads. I don't think there's anything wrong with those things, but I think we all agree here it's much more fun to work with people. So now we have a team of 8 agents and 8 staff. The entire staff is made up of Army spouses stationed throughout the country, so all virtual.
mm. All right. So you said a lot of this. So you got into real estate basically by default versus by design. Like a lot of us. I was a teacher, went into it thinking maybe I would invest a little bit. So why don't I get a real estate license so I can learn how to invest in real estate? Of course, I didn't learn anything about how to invest in real estate. I learned how to pass the test, and then the rest is history. So I definitely get that. And I would guess that's probably the story of 90% of real estate agents, other than those that were born into the business. They seem to be the ones that were kind of in it by design. So, all right, then you talked about adding your transaction coordinator and how that person really helped you think bigger and grow. Give me two or three things that she did to help your growth.
Yeah, I think what it did was fundamentally it gave me my time back and allowed me to focus on the $200, $300 an hour work versus, at that time she was getting paid quite a bit less. So that was pivotal. It was giving me my brain back, right? My not only my physical time where I could go out and prospect or I could go out and meet clients, but also brain space to start thinking what are things that we are not doing right now? What are systems that she could build? And what are things that we could do better? So and then just the way that she thinks, people who are a great fit for that role tend to think very differently than people in my role. I would say that she is sort of the brake and I'm the gas. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, so she's got analytical skills. She's got this, well, let's think about it while you're like, let's go do it. And that makes a pretty good couple. And then also, I just love that you started with a transaction coordinator. One of the things that I tend to suggest to someone that's solo looking to grow is that first edition should not be maybe a showing assistant or an executive assistant. It's really a transaction coordinator who can take that contract to close off their hands very quickly. One main reason is the system is so easy to get. Like the checklist for contract to close is easy to get. Most people have that or have been forced through it. So they can take the system and run with it, make it their own, and improve it over time. So it's an easy hire within a system already in place. One of the worst things is hiring somebody and then not having a system for them to run. And then everybody's making it up on the fly, and it turns out maybe not quite what we envisioned or dreamed. I love that. So, lesson there for everybody is maybe we start out with a transaction coordinator as our first hire if we're in a solo situation. Love that. And then, all right. So, where do you see most people in the industry getting it wrong when it comes to building a referral-based business? And you did it right from the beginning, which did you try any of the other things? Did you try cold calling? Did you try door knocking? Did you try spamming? I mean, emailing a bunch of people? Like,
Well, I will say that I didn't, but I don't think it says so much about me except that I didn't know that those opportunities existed.
mhm.
I read a book called Up and Running in 30 Days by Carla Cross. And I remember going around the country when I was talking about how I built a business through social media and referral. And they would always ask how I came to this. And I would always point back to that book. And then I went and read, I said, there was no cold calling in that book. There was no spamming. And then I went back and read the book and there sure was all of that in there. I guess I just ignored that.
Tuned it
And
out.
yeah, and I read your book too. I need to go back. It was just so long ago, but it was fundamental. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, I read that book and it was fabulous. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna read it with my whole team. But yeah, I didn't try those other things. I set up a small, tiny system for myself. I said I need to meet 5 new people every single week, and I need to meet 5 people who I already know, like in my world. I need to have coffee with them. I need to go on a walk with them. Just very simple, low lift, just making sure that I continue to grow the number of people who know me and that know I'm in real estate, and then using Facebook. I mean, I started 17 years ago and people were not using Facebook very intentionally. And I remember more experienced agents in my office saying, why are you wasting all your time there? And I get it. Eventually, I might be that person who thinks that about other things, but I think that really worked for me. There weren't a lot of people in that space, and I was very purposeful about sharing with people my expertise as I was learning. And I didn't make it look like I'm brand new and I messed up on this. I just said, if you
Hmm.
ever run into this situation, and I would share it. And then anytime I was out with clients, anytime I had any experiences, any photo opportunities, I would, take photos of properties. So very quickly people started to say, wow, you really are the expert. You're really busy. So really trying to get across this perception that I was already successful, I was already experienced, so I could build up that trust. People already liked me, and just grow the number of people who liked me, trusted me, and maybe wanted to use me for real estate.
Yeah, you just gave like 10 nuggets.
Oh,
Like just rolled out of your tongue every like number one is not knocking on social media. There are ways to use it and there are ways to not necessarily use it. And sharing your expertise, sharing what you knew about it. And here's the thing that I absolutely love, and maybe you did it intentionally, maybe you did it by accident, maybe you just did it to look more successful, which is not using the word new. Like you never came across as a new agent, and
yeah.
that is one of the first. I teach classes that are all new people. And the first thing I do is strike the word new from your language. You are a professional realtor. You are a professional right now. Because new is an excuse.
Mm,
New is an excuse. What you're saying, I've had people that have been in the business for 3 years and they say, I'm a new agent. It's like, you're not new. You're using new as an excuse for not doing any business. So we want to strike the word new. We want to be a professional realtor. And you literally embraced it and ran with it. And what I love is you took people on the journey as you were learning. As you were learning, you were sharing that on Facebook as well. And it doesn't just show expertise, it also shows a growth minded mindset, which is attractive. Like people want to be around people who are growing. Like, which garden do you want to be in? The one that's like blooming and flat, or the ones that's all dead, right? And like, are you hanging out in that garden or are you hanging out in the blooming garden? And we want to hang out in the blooming garden. I love that. And you were blooming at all times. You
mhm.
also shared photos and videos.
Yeah.
And that is so key, especially early on in Facebook. It's key now, but it
Mhm.
was really key then because a lot of people were just posting. It was almost like Twitter Lite for a long time. And you were smart enough to know that adding a photo, adding a video was going to be more attractive anyway. And you never said you were successful, but
No.
people were assuming you were successful because you were working in your job every
Mhm.
single day, whether it led to a transaction or not. It was showing photos, it was showing videos. Like, you were out showing houses, you took a video. When you were looking at homes or doing an open house, you take a picture. So absolutely love that. Don't be a secret agent. You definitely were not being a secret agent. I love that. And then the other nugget, I mean, I like, this is all what you said in 3 minutes, and I have to break it down for 15. But also the 5 new people a week.
Mhm.
Most people just want more faster. They're like, I would rather add 20. I would rather add 100. Or they think they have to add that many to be a success. And you just kept it easy. 5 new people a week. And guess what? At the end of a year, you're at 260 new people that you've added, and
And
and and it's quality over quantity. That's what I'm hearing. And then the last one was 5 conversations with people you'd already met. Well,
mhm.
who can't do 5 conversations with who we've already met,
Mhm.
and also have 5 conversations with people we hadn't met? So very doable, very kind of broken down to the simple. I absolutely love that. And one of the things I do want to get into this is, you've done $1 billion in sales entirely by referral, and everybody's asking, how did you do that? What did you do? They're waiting. They're waiting for you to give the magic pill, Sheena. They're waiting
Yeah.
for that one thing that is like, and here's what's magic. You gave them the magic pill, and it looks like overalls, and it looks like a little bit of work, and it looks like planting 10 people a week. You plant 5 seeds and you nurture 5 seeds. All you're doing is planting 5 seeds and nurturing 5 seeds a week. That's it. Can everybody do that? Can everybody plant 5 new plants? Can
Mhm.
everybody water the 5 plants that you planted last week? And the answer is yes, every
Yeah.
single time. So that's our show today, everybody. And you're waiting. Everybody's waiting for the answer, and you literally just gave them the answer. But we'll keep talking to Sheena because we have waited so long for this session, and the hair on my legs are starting to grow. So we got to make
Like,
sure we look good early. So all right. So what do people do wrong? Like, what and
yeah.
maybe I already said it, is they assume it's bigger than that. But what do they get wrong?
Two things, which I'm so glad you brought this up because I kind of wanted to go back to something you said about like bringing in that transaction coordinator, bringing in any hire. I think a few things that saved me, and it's not that I'm smarter than anyone else. It's not that it's my impatience that I think kind of drove this. But so I just got lucky. I will say so many parts of my life I'm just so lucky, and I think one of those is. Um, I didn't actually have a system for, at least not a great system for the TC before she came on. And so I think that helped me realize, gosh, at any time I could hire somebody to do something. I don't have to have the system yet. What I need to have, and this is so important, especially for high D personalities who expect people to read their minds, is bring this person on who's a great personality fit, right? They've got to be a great personality fit, great values alignment. Come on. And then this is what I do to get a new system established. I get them on Zoom and I say, okay, or if I'm driving to a listing, right? Maybe you're just so filled with appointments, great, but you don't have time and you're like, just figure it out. Okay, well, we don't know high D personality, how you like it done. So I need you to get on the phone and they're going to transcribe, or it's going to be a Zoom where you talk about how you like things done from A to Z. You're going to talk about things that could go wrong. You're going to talk about, exceptions to the rule, and you're going to get it all out, and they're going to create an SOP, and then you're going to review it, and they're going to create the system. There it is. Like I do this all the time. And I always think, and the other thing I think people get nervous, like, oh my God, I have to hire a $30,000 person, a 50,000. Every person I've started starts at 4 hours and then 8, and then it goes up as they desire. If a person can only work 10 hours, but they're so great at that 10 hours, like maybe our off-market division, that's only 10 hours of work a week, then I hire somebody else to do something else. So I want the right person in the seat. I had a 12-year-old who was running my off-market division for a while. She just wanted to get in real estate so badly. She was running this. And I'm like, I just looking for great people who want to do that kind of work. So I think that was one thing. The other thing you said, what people maybe do wrong or what holds them up is they try to follow someone else's path, or they write up, their plan. And at my brokerage, it's called a 135 plan. And, a lot of people do it to impress others. Like, I'm going to door knock 100 doors. I am going to call 200 people a week. And then you check in on them, and guess what? They haven't done any of it. And then the next week they haven't done any of it. And we keep trying to help them figure out how they can get over the hump, when the reality is they never wanted to do any of those things in the first place. So I love your analogy of the garden, your metaphor of the garden. Find your garden and water that thing. Like, that's what I've done. I do what I love. I have book clubs, I have yard sales. I'll talk all about those things, but I focus on trying to gather people around the things that I love to do, and highlight. I love how you spotlighted your followers on this call, your listeners, because that's a big part of it. What I was posting on social media, sometimes the photo I would post was of someone in my world and say, congratulations on getting your nursing degree. Like, we have to love on people the same way that we love on them in the transaction. Love on them before that. Show them that you love them before. Give before you take.
Love outside the transaction.
Yeah.
That is it. I used to just make fun of realtors, believe it or not. As a realtor, I can do that. But I would just say, I would go through like 5 people in the first row as I'm speaking, and I would go, hey, are you looking to buy or sell real estate? And they say no. And I would just tell the first 4 to say no, right? And it's like, just say no to whatever I ask you. Hey, are you looking to buy or sell in the next 6 months? It's like, no. Okay. Hey, are you looking to buy or sell in the next 6 months? No. And it's like, hey, are you looking to buy? And they're like, no. And then I get to the 5th one, I tell that person, hey, you're going to say yes to whatever I say. And I go, are you looking to buy or sell in the next month? And they're like, yes. It's like, oh my God, how are you? Oh my God. And I get down on one knee like I'm proposing, right? And it's like, my gosh, I love you. You're so awesome. And the lesson there is we need to love on all 5 of them. We need to love on everybody that passes our way and that we meet along the way, and love them outside the transaction as much as you love them during the transaction, and maybe even more so. So I love that. That's probably one of those things that they're going to underline in our transcription and run with, because it's such a valuable lesson. I also love what you talked about with the doing hiring people, is you hire gentle. You tiptoe in 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. And some of them don't want to work more than 10 hours, but they're awesome workers. And you don't feel like you need to swallow 50,000 a year, 40,000 a year. And Gary breaks that down. Gary Keller breaks that down as well, as, hey, don't look at a, $36,000 a year person as 36,000. Look at it as 1 month of 3,000. So you've got 1 month of 3,000 to judge whether it's going to be a fit or not. Love it. I also love the way you broke down the system is, man, just hammer it out with the person. And then it's like a puzzle. You're going to throw all the pieces, and then it's like up to you and that person. All right, now we got all the pieces. Let's put this beautiful puzzle together. And the final puzzle is a system. I love that. All right. So many nuggets, and we're barely into this thing. So, all right, what are some of the early signs that a business is shifting from transactional to truly referral driven? How do we know that? How did you know that? And how can we tell?
Yeah, good question. I think part of it is people reaching out to you. So you don't really have to ask people if they want to buy or sell a home, because you're just giving so much value and they're like, God, you're you're amazing. I love what your business is about. I love how you come across. I have a grandmother who's looking to sell her home and I want to connect you. So I think that, like, people proactively reaching out to you is huge. And then people shouting you out on Facebook groups. And then you get calls from agents, right, in other offices saying, I heard about you through somebody else. So that makes it pretty clear, I think.
Yeah, what you're saying is, like, when you can stop making the calls. When it's, I mean, which is better? Which overcomes call reluctance faster? You having to make the call or them calling you? Do you have answer reluctance? Nobody has answer reluctance. Everybody has call reluctance. If the best communication plan is when all these people are calling you to help a friend list a house or help someone buy a house. That's when you know you've flipped the script a little bit on how business is doing. So that's being attractive instead of chasing. So love that. And then you've built this around culture, an amazing culture. How does someone intentionally create a culture with their sphere or with the people that know them that naturally leads to referrals instead of having like a chase business, right?
The key, the secret, the gem that you all have been waiting for is you must give before you take. You
Hmm.
must give before you take. And I think about that with my community. I think about that with potential clients. I also, going back to what you said before, like loving on all five of the people, like love on everyone. Do you know the name of the person at the grocery store, who the cash register, where you go through all the time? Do you know anything about that person who you see all the time, right? There's an actual human being right in front of you. Everyone out there, they may not everyone you know is going to buy or sell a house in the next 6 months or 2 years, but they probably know somebody. So why don't we start with loving on people, seeing them as actual human beings, try to understand what their needs are to see how we can solve some problems, or help them through some challenges before we even get to real estate. I mean, that's a big. And with social media, it makes it so much easier because you can scroll through, you can see what's going on in your neighborhood. If you're actually talking to your neighbors, if you're reading the news and you're seeing there's an epidemic of loneliness right now. Okay, well, how can I help solve this? I'm a member of the community. So go out there and solve problems. And as a byproduct, not everyone, but a good number of people will probably think about you when it comes to real estate. Just guess what? Everyone knows 10 real estate agents. So how are you going to stand apart?
I love that. And you touched on the loneliness epidemic, and I have to tell you, I speak about that, and I've really spoken about it. What was amazing to me were some of the numbers where, like 55 plus, like I kind of get that, honestly. Like it was like two out of every three have some type of loneliness symptoms,
Mhm.
and it's just like, okay, we're 55 plus, maybe they've lost a spouse, or maybe they're divorced and over 50 and maybe not as hopeful to find another person or whatever it may be. And then you hear under 30 males
Mhm.
are lonely, like a over 50% have loneliness symptoms, and it's like under 30 years old and they're male, and this is what is reported, is just like, all right, so that flips us to, like you said, is that, are you willing to step up and conquer the loneliness epidemic that is existing in your sphere? And if you knew every person in your sphere of influence was loneliness, what would you do? Or was lonely, what would you do? What would you do? Would you just like sit there and be okay with their lonely? And shoot, some of the agents are lonely, right? And there's only one way to conquer that. It's socialization, social skills, it's human interaction, which is the
Mhm.
counter to AI, right? Is HI. And it is one of those where, man, we can conquer the loneliness epidemic that's out there. And 2020 was a major blow to to socialization, because we couldn't meet. We were quarantined, and
Mhm.
all of our social circles were blown up. They were blown up. We didn't have them anymore. Well, a lot of people have not even to this day reestablished those social, they haven't gone back to church, Sheena.
Yeah.
They haven't gone to book clubs that they used to go to. They're not going to the HOA meetings. They've developed a new habit, which is nesting and
Mhm.
cocooning and staying home, and
Yeah.
it's not a healthy habit. It's
Yeah.
not. And I think that's one of the problems we have on social media is they're cocooning and nesting, and they get angry. right? They're not angry with the world, they're angry with themselves. And of course, when people are angry with themselves, they become angry at the world. And that leads to divisiveness and what we see on social media. And that all started with the loneliness epidemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put the phone down, right? Put the phone down, agents, and go and intermingle. Go see them, see people. And you said everyone knows someone, and that's the true EKS. We need to understand that everyone knows someone. And when we're going around, quit looking for clients.
Mm-hmm.
Quit looking at people as potential clients. Look at people. I mean, look at people as people, but look at everyone as a potential referral source because they are. And if we start treating people like potential referral sources and our expectations is maybe they could refer us, guess what human nature is? You either rise or fall to the expectations of a relationship. And you think that. You think every person you could meet might be able to refer you. You think that. And guess what happens? It happens because you think that, and they rise to your expectations. Um, I mean, all I can do is sit here and like summarize: lead with generosity, give before you take, and we're on question like 3. Like, how did you become so brilliant?
Oh gosh. Well, that's very generous. But I'll tell you how I came to the person I am today, which I hope I'm a very different person in a year and 2 years, and I keep growing. And things that were really fundamental, listening to people like you, right, who have this really expansive mindset and abundant mindset, connected to the world, because I think the world is now divided into two kinds of people, and it's not, it goes within political spectrums and religious. Like, you can have different worldviews inside the same religion, you can have different worldviews inside the
Sure.
same political system. Someone explained this to me recently, and it's like abundant connected worldview, and then there's the scarcity disconnected worldview. And that latter one, yeah, Scott Galloway talks about it with young men. It's terrifying. I just read Scott Galloway's book about, young men, because I have 2 boys and a girl. And
Yep.
I'll speak about it. I can talk later about a field trip we're doing in West Virginia. I hope so, but to like kind of feed off of, like, to kind of support leveraging your network for good. That's a big thing about how we've grown referral base. So I could talk about that later, bringing people together to do good, because everybody wants to help. They just don't know how. So if you can be that person. But going back to how I got to where I am, I think listening to more brilliant people, reading lots and lots of books. I read a lot of nonfiction. I read a lot of history. I read a lot about memoirs. I read a lot about the human condition, about people that are unlike me. I read a book called Medical Apartheid, which talks about, a lot of us know about the Tuskegee, the trials that happened there with young Black people, and I think it was syphilis and the awful things that happened. But I didn't know that the reason we have the gynecological processes that we have now, the solutions we have now, is because several, like 12 Black women were enslaved in the 1850s,
Mm.
and they were doing testing on them without anesthesia. Some people died. So like,
Mm.
I wouldn't have, like I was saying, like I feel so lucky. Like, people had to really suffer for me to be in the position that I am, where I can go to a doctor's appointment and have these problems solved. So I think just knowing your place, having gratitude for like what came before you. And then most of it, like, I went to a luxury talk. I was the main speaker at a luxury talk, and people asked sort of a similar question of like, how did you get to this point where you can handle 2, 3, $4 million clients? And I said it was because I spent 5 years working on the streets of Baltimore. About 10 years ago, I went to a nonprofit gala where the couple was serving the homeless in Baltimore. They were clothing, feeding, and one of the things they wanted to do was build a shower truck for the homeless. And I thought that was the coolest idea. And 10 years ago, I was only like 5 or 6 years into my business. And every appointment I went into, I said, I'm going to take great care of you, but I also am going to invest in a shower truck on our behalf. So for 3.5 years, I invested in this shower truck that was being built. And I showed people along the way, I showed the journey. I said, look, thanks for buying or selling a house with us. We just bought the trailer. Thanks for doing this. We've painted the trailer. Now we're having, bathrooms put into the trailers. And after 3.5 years, the shower truck was finished. And for 5 years, it served thousands of people. And it didn't just give people showers. I don't think I fully understand. I know that I didn't fully understand the impact, but once you're doing that kind of work, and anyone I think who does social work or spends time, and I was the millionaire agent by the time that happened. But I spent a lot of time working the streets of Baltimore, and I think it expanded my view of why people live on the streets. I didn't know that so many people who live on the streets, the vast majority, have been abused when they were children. There's a lot of talk about laziness. Like when you actually meet those people face to face and you get to see the struggle, I think you become a more compassionate person. I had somebody come take a shower. They were coming to take a shower. I was cleaning. After each shower, you have to spray down and sanitize. So I was spraying the shower down, and I came out. I heard one of our guests, is what we call them, screaming at one of the volunteers. And I said, is everything okay? And he turned to me and he used all kinds of curse words. And he's like, get out of my face. And I said, we're just here to serve you. And he said, F you, if you weren't here, somebody else would be. And I looked up and saw my logo. And I thought, my initial reaction in my head, what typical high D personality, right, was actually, no, this actually wouldn't exist if we hadn't been here.
Yeah.
And then I realized, he hasn't slept in a bed in, temperature controlled bed for probably months, maybe years. He slept on concrete last night. A lot of these people are at risk and have been run over by cars zipping through. Probably hasn't eaten in a few days. Who knows what happened in his childhood? And I'm here having slept well, eaten. I have, nothing to worry about, my safety. And I'm going to have this argument with him. And in that moment, I don't know, it was like a spiritual experience. I was like, I get it. Can I walk you to your shower? And I did. And he came out like so happy and so refreshed. And I grew that day. It was like the guy whose like heart grew 3 times the Grinch. And I became a different person, a different leader. And it just kind of grew from there. It was like just seeing people and being attached to the struggle, because as we gain that wealth, like I am literally living in a white picket fence neighborhood. I could never see a homeless person. My kids could never see. But you better be darned, my kids will see homeless people. I will go to refugee camps that others will never visit. I will expose myself and my kids to that, because we're only on this planet for so long. So we might as well use our resources to do good.
100%. You can do really, really well by doing good. I mean, that's the truth. And the thing is, you came about it a little differently than I did. And, you're a better person than I was, right? It was that, like, I honestly used generosity almost like a weapon early in my life. I found out that if they thought I was generous, they would use me for real estate. And so, like, we tied stuff to our housewarming parties, and we would have people bring blankets or whatever it was. And it was like, I found out if I had people bring blankets that I would get more referrals. Like so it was very transactional. And people would say, "Oh, Michael, you're so generous." And inside I had imposter syndrome to the nth degree, right? And then it was like, well, we did get 50 blankets for these, and then, it took me like 6 months to a year to just kind of realize, okay, yeah, like I am generous. Like I am generous, and it's just interesting. So some people out there, they might be thinking, well, I don't know about this whole generosity thing. Well, here's the thing: do it to get transactions. If you're not sure, do it for now. The 90% of the people, or what, I don't even know what the percentage is. We don't have to convince them; they're all good people, right? Especially in real estate. What I've discovered is we have a lot of good people in real estate. They're going to be generous anyway. So the other part is okay, just do it to get a transaction. Like they're good. Like example is you went to a nonprofit gala, you got luxury clients, and you said something about building a shower. Well, guess what? Luxury clients are attracted to people who are generous. So you might have got those listings because you were helping build a shower. You might not have, but you might have too, because it was what is a commonality of the affluent? What is a characteristic is generosity. And honestly, for my whole life, up until probably 25, I always thought, well, I have to be affluent to be generous. And then I read Proverbs 11:25, which says, a generous man shall be a prosperous man. And it was a prompt. It was written as a prompt, right? He who is generous shall be prosperous. And then it's he who refreshes others shall himself be refreshed, right? And it was like, oh, wait a second. Like that just hit me like a ton of bricks. Is generosity comes first before prosperity. So the way to get, the reason those prosperous people are prosperous is because they were probably generous all the way to prosperity. And it's a common characteristic of the prosperous, not because they got it later. It was because they got it earlier. And so I love it. And you talk about building like a mission-driven business. Like, all right, let's go granular a little bit. What does that look like day to day for an agent who's literally just trying to close some deals and pay the bills?
Yeah. So definitely, I think it's a mindset to start with. And that's what they talk about in Gary's top 100 group all the time, right? You got to start with mindset. I recognize that pretty early on of like, okay, people here are thinking differently. And I think part of that is, like you said, like it's okay to be transactional at first. It's like fake it till you make it, right? Like I wasn't so successful, but I posted my busyness and that gave the perception of success. So I think it's the same with what you said, like try to look inside yourself and see what is obnoxious to you, what is annoying to you, what pulls at your heart, what makes you sad or what makes you angry, right? If you think that, people, if you're stepping over the street and having to deal with homeless people, if that's frustrating to you, great. That is what you need to be working on, right? There's a great, right? So take that, whatever that emotion is, and then figure out what you can do to help solve that problem, maybe at a very small level. Maybe it's $50 for every transaction to a certain nonprofit that is dealing with it. I like to work with nonprofits for many, many reasons, and I have lots of thoughts on nonprofits. But what I will say is they've already figured out a lot of these things, so you don't need to just figure out what they're doing and see how you can support them. But you don't need to tell people I'm going to be giving $50, to support the end of homelessness. Tell them what the impact is going to be. With every home we help someone buy or sell, someone who's moving into transitional housing will have a love basket, a blessing basket to have everything they need to get started in their kitchen or the cleaning materials that they need. And a lot of us don't think about the fact that cleaning materials cost a lot of money. And when you're living paycheck to paycheck, that can be challenging. So, and hygiene is important to health. So I think you start there. Just start transactionally, like with every transaction. Make sure that you tell people on social media what you are doing. Tell them over and over again. Practice talking about that in your buyer and seller appointments, about the difference that you're making. And oh, by the way, that's how you can end your presentation, your conversation. Oh, by the way, in case it matters, I really do believe in giving back to the community that has supported me, right? Like I would like to invest in my community and I'm being enriched by it. So I think this is part of my duty. It's a virtuous cycle of generosity is what I like to call it, where I give, they support the mission-driven business and I can do more. Together, we can do a whole lot. So start there with transactional giving and then see where it takes you. Just know that there's a lot of ways to give back. It doesn't, like money makes the world go round and all nonprofits want money. And I think that is important. And you can also be helpful in what was your career before, right? What is your career now? What are you learning? What have you learned? What are you an expert at? Could you serve on a board, right? And bring your expertise? Could you leverage your network and fill board positions? Everybody wants to help. They don't know how, right? So if you've got an accountant friend, a lawyer friend, every nonprofit wants one of those on their boards. Maybe you have, in our area, kids in middle school and high school have to do a certain amount of community service hours in order to graduate. So could you be the person who connects those people, right, to those organizations? So be the spokesperson for that organization. You'll have lots more content and you'll have more people reading it. When you're doing the kind of work that has no end, your content is endless.
Drop the mic. I mean, I know you're on your phone, but you should drop the mic. That was it, right? I mean, you just nailed it. You talked about, like, it's essentially to formalize it. And this is something that we teach in the generosity generation all the time is what is your give back campaign? What is your give back campaign? And what you hit on head is they needed to hear this from you, Sheena, is start small. Start small. And you could say 10% of your profit or 10% of your commission. You don't have to say 10% of all of it. You're going to have some splits and finances, but you could do it. You could do a profit share with nonprofits, right? Which is kind of a cool thing to do. And 10%, well, if you're getting 5,000, like 10% is $500, right? You're good. You're going to be fine with that donation. Or just do 50 to $100 a transaction. And here's the thing, if you're only doing one transaction a year, like you're getting a lot of juice for that $50. You can talk to a lot of people with one transaction. But here's what I'll tell you. If you have a give back campaign, you won't do one transaction.
Mm-hmm.
You won't.
Yeah.
By talking about it, it's going to attract more transactions, going to get you more people. And also you talked about is just looking successful, looking professional, fake it till you make it. And
Mm-hmm.
and I would just tweak it a little bit and just
Mm-hmm.
say, like, look the part of a professional realtor. Like, you're not new. Like, you're a professional realtor. Act like it, look like it, work like it. Like, walk into your
Mm-hmm.
image of a professional realtor, and I love that. I took 2.5 pages of notes so far, just so everybody knows. We don't have time to necessarily talk about the generosity cycle, but you literally just talked about the generosity cycle, where generosity leads to reciprocity, reciprocity leads to referrals, referrals lead to profit, profit leads to prosperity. Well, what does prosperity lead to? It leads to more generosity, but it doesn't just lead to more generosity. It leads to higher and more powerful generosity. And
Mm-hmm.
what does that lead to? Higher and more powerful reciprocity. And that leads to higher, and you're in this, right?
Yeah.
Higher, higher and more powerful um, referrals, which leads to higher and more powerful profit, which leads to higher and more powerful prosperity, and so on and so on. And we're on the generosity cycle. Everybody wants to get on the referral cycle.
Mm-hmm.
The way to get on the referral cycle is the generosity cycle. How do you become the most referred professional in your community? Be the most generous professional in your community, period. This is awesome. So, all right. For someone listening right now who feels like $1 billion business, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Like $1 billion, they're first have to get to $1 million business, right? And some of them are like, I need $1,000 business. So it sounds way out of reach when we talk about $1 billion business. How do they start small and begin building towards something like this? And maybe what's that first step?
Yeah. I think the first step is have faith that this works. I think you can see this is a proven model, and I'm not the only one operating this way where it's like give first, right? So first, you have to trust yourself or convince yourself that like every day should be focused on giving first, not going out there and looking, like you said, at every person as an opportunity, right? The opportunities will come. I promise you, they will come. We've proven that. So have faith that this will happen and be consistent in your activities. So make a plan for yourself, right? So what is your week going to look like? I have undiagnosed, I would say ADHD. I like new things. I like to have different weeks. I don't like to have the same day. I have ants in my pants. And so and like 17 years later, I'm still like, oh my God, nobody called me to buy a house today. My whole life is going to but I have faith because I know that I'm going to have 2 more events next week. And then I'm going to, talk to this many more people because I've set up a plan, right? And that plan looks like for me, micro events that don't cost much. And,
Mhm.
you can just imagine we've been the top team selling 4 million plus GCI in the last 4 or 5 years. We're doing okay. And yet my events really don't cost anything or they are free and they look like newcomer coffees.
Mhm.
Right? And who do you invite to your newcomer coffees? Well, you're posting it on Facebook, you're posting it on Nextdoor, and maybe you're putting up flyers, you're inviting your neighbors, and it's people who are new to the area, but also people who have lived there for a long time because they may be lonely, right? So you are creating space for all these people. And what does that cost you? A coffee, right? And people just need a leader to create that, right? It seems absurdly simple. But I will say if I don't show up, it may not happen, right? Like I
Mhm.
have to be there. So to be that person, newcomer coffees, something else I started that any new agent can do. So just being consistent with your things, right? Do that once a month. Don't just do that. And maybe 2 people show up the first time. Keep going. You're playing a long game here, but keep going, right? And what are you talking about? Talking about their lives. Tell me about you, right? You're not talking about real estate. Eventually, someone's going to ask you what you do, and you can say, "Oh, and I'm doing this." Make sure that you are ready to talk about the market, what's happening, not just days on market. Like you want to talk about how you can distinguish yourself from others. Like if I were a buyer right now, this is probably what I would be thinking about. If I was a seller right now, this is what I'd be thinking about. So make sure you have your scripts and make it, optimistic. It doesn't have to be all overly positive, but optimistic story because there's always opportunity for both sides, right? I've been doing this free yard sale That's a really big thing I've been doing. What I discovered early last year was that a lot of people were making consumer decisions based on their values. They were like, I'm not going to shop here because of XYZ. I was also finding that many people were struggling to get the things they need because of inflation. I was also finding that there were many people who have lived in their homes for quite a while who we would meet in seller appointments, and they are completely overwhelmed by their personal effects. They're overwhelmed by their personal effects. And so the solution I discovered was a free yard sale, whereby we put it all over social media. This Eventbrite where people can sign up. I call them vendors, and these are typically homeowners who come and bring their things around 9 a.m. to give their things away. In a half hour, everything is gone. So what have we done? We've created a really simple space for people to get rid of their things.
Wait, they're free?
Yeah, everything's free and everything's gone in 30 minutes.
That's not a yard sale.
It's a free yard sale.
We got to think of a new name for that puppy. That's the greatest sale ever, Sheena. Sign me up. I'm in. I will buy all of it right now. Whatever you have, whatever they bring to the park, I'm buying it for that price. Come on. Don't call it a yard sale.
It's called Everything is Free Yard Sale. That's what the says.
That is a brilliant title. If you're going to just do it, it's like, we're going to call it exact. Like, will you help me name my next book? Because I know it's going to be the right name, because you just like everything is free yard sale. That's a really good yard sale. All right. So here's the other thing I love is there was a problem. You stepped up to be part of the solution, to be the solution, like organize the solution. And love that. So who comes to it? Do you invite a certain nonprofits clientele, or the neighbors, or who do you invite? Who comes to get the materials?
Yeah, who comes? It's anyone and everyone all across the DC metro area. I have 55 parking spaces. So that's the homeowners who park. They have to secure their spot. And then hundreds of people from across the DC metro. And, you can tell sometimes by looking at people, a lot of people who are struggling. I've had people come up to me and say, I can't afford Goodwill anymore. I've had people say, like, I don't have school supplies for my kids. You can tell people are having a hard time. And then there's people who just like to go to yard sales and get there's no limits on anything. Take as much as you want. People wanted to do that in the beginning, but it's turned into just like the most beautiful community event. It's my favorite thing that we do. I get to meet all these people. They're grateful. Everyone's happy to be there because everyone's getting something out of it. And it's just, I don't know, it's a light. Every month we do it.
You may have mastered the 5-minute event.
Oh,
like why have that event for over 5 minutes? If let's say the event is 9 to 11, let me tell you something I know about garage sales and yard sales. Somebody's waiting at 6 a.m. to get into a 9 a.m. event. Please tell me that you have a line when you're getting ready to start, or do you let them in early, or is it like 9 o'clock? It is like, what is that even like? It's like the bulls of like
Spain,
Chile running, like, yeah.
It is the running of the bulls.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's I didn't know what to expect. I learned, but everyone sets up. No shoppers can park in my lot, right? We need to keep it to just vendors because it can be unsafe. So all the shoppers. And what happens is you just get all these people and they just surround. And at first I was like, just start shopping. And then people wrote me later and they're like, I'm so angry. Everything was gone by the time I got there at 9:10. Because I was letting people shop early, and now I have signs that say no shopping till 9 a.m. And I basically give a script to all the vendors and I say, this is what you tell people who try to shop. I say, tell them, if I let you take anything, I will not be invited back again. And I can't have that happen. So that's helpful for them. But now everyone knows and everyone obeys. And I do a countdown, 5, 4, 3. And then I'm like, go! And then everyone, but they're walking around. You can window shop, but it's all outside in the parking lot. But yeah, it's hundreds of people, like 300 people.
Sheena, you've got people in the parking lot going like this. Like they're stretching. They're stretching. They're over there like getting ready for a 5K. Everybody's like, whoo, there's people working out 30 days before this event, like sprinting in their neighborhood. Like, what are you working out for? the everything is free yard sale. No, really, what are you working out for? The everything is free yard sale. Which part of that were you confused? Everything is free yard sale. Like I'm going to be the one that runs across this 55 car parking lot, and I'm going to get whatever I want, and I'm going to win. So that's I mean, you want to talk about a sense of urgency and creating a frenzy. That event creates a frenzy. That's awesome. And you're doing Thanks a Latte and I Love You Lattes events. I love that. Anybody can do it. Very inexpensive. And then the everything is free yard sale. Like I love that. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So, all right. We have covered a lot of ground. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 pages of notes. 4 pages of notes. I thought I knew everything, Sheena. I did. My wife just told me, Michael, you know everything. No, I'm just kidding. She would never say that, right? I get done with my conversation with my wife and I'm like, I don't know anything. And she agrees with me always, which is so nice of her. So
I love it.
So many good things here. Very powerful. Lead with generosity. Let me ask you this. If you had to sum up what your business is all about and what you do, like how would you describe that to an agent or someone that is looking to do something similar like you?
I guess a summary would just be we try to create a virtuous cycle where we give to the communities we invest in the communities that will eventually enrich us. And it's like this virtuous cycle and we leverage our networks for good.
No, all good. I mean, you make an impact, right?
Yeah. I think like even if not every single person you meet doesn't buy and sell with you, which they won't, you're going to get as a byproduct of all the good you put out there. People are going to distinguish you from other real estate agents, and you'll lead a life. New agent, by the way, I think this is really important to hear in the very beginning. Lead a life that is going to make you proud at the end of that life. So yes, go sell homes, but like don't forget about where you came from and all the good that you can do as you're growing.
Yeah, love that. Lead a life that you'll be proud of. Yeah. Does it fill you with joy? Does it feel fulfilling? Does it help others, other than just the transactional? So much good here. And I think you nailed it right, is leveraging your network for good. And then the other thing that I mean, some people are just like, well, you should keep your generosity quiet. You should, give. And it's like, what the, no, do you realize that by publicizing your generosity, more generosity happens? It inspires. It's like the whole Marianne Williamson poem, Our Greatest Fear, where it's like, hey, shine your light so that like if you kept your generosity secret, nobody else would understand that they can run a business this way and have a flourishing, prosperous business that also leads to more generosity. And if you were the only one to give, it would be a linear generosity. But because you're leveraging your network for good, you're seeing geometric and exponential generosity because it's 50 blankets instead of 1, or it's 100 things instead of 1, and it's leverage and scale with leading with generosity. The other thing too that I just love here is I used to explain it this way to people, is that like Michael's about generosity but I'm strategic with it. And by strategic, I mean, after hours, I give to those who are less fortunate. Mm-hmm. But 9 to 6 during my working hours, I give to those who are more fortunate. So I give to those that are more fortunate 9 to 6. And then after hours, I give to those that are less fortunate. And that's my life in a nutshell.
It sounds like a perfect day.
Do what?
That sounds like a perfect day.
It's a perfect day every day. And that's the joy of all this. And I just love this, everything about you, everything that you're doing. You fired me up. I mean, I might start shaving my legs on a regular basis. This is so good. I feel tingly. Like it feels tingly. And then I put some lotion on and it's like, my legs have never been so soft. I just want you to know that. Actually, for the record, I did not shave my legs. I don't know if the hair would grow back, so I don't know if I want to take that risk. But you definitely made the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. There were so many wows and thrills in this episode, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being our guest today here on Referrals Podcast.
Thank you, Michael. Could I leave you with one more story? I don't even know if there's time for
Always,
this.
always.
Okay, it goes back to this really critical thing you said. Thank you for bringing it up, that people want to be quiet about what they're doing. I have endless stories, as you can tell, but I'll give you one powerful story of why we must not be quiet about what we're doing, and start with gratitude every time you post. Like, that's the easiest way to kind of undermine that, that fear. So we'd been doing a lot of work, shower truck, drilling wells in sub-Saharan Africa, wherever we could find a place to help people, we would. And if you guys remember, when we left Afghanistan, not a lot, but a number of people were flown out, and some of them were flown to America, and quite a few were flown to Dulles, which is right outside of Washington, D.C. And, we saw the news, we understood that some of them would be flown here as refugees. And my family was coming back, talk about different life, coming back from a summer vacation in Italy. We came down the stairs at Dulles Airport, and we could smell them before we saw them. They'd been 2 weeks, who knows where, just trying to get out of the country, and who knows if they had eaten in a while. We come down, they're all dressed in their, traditional outfits, all these families, hundreds of families. And, we're just looking at them with, you know, an experience you just can hardly describe. And we leave. And about a week later, I get this email from one of my past clients. And it's obviously been sent to a few hundred people he knows. And it essentially says that he lives in Arlington, Virginia, and he had gone to the grocery store with his daughter. He came out and he noticed there was this woman with a headscarf on and a little 5-year-old boy. And they were clearly talking to people, he assumed, asking for money. And so he, like a lot of people, went in the other direction, went in the car, started to drive home. Looks at his daughter. I really have a hard time telling the story without crying. He looks at his daughter and he goes, "What am I doing right now? What am I doing right now?" Turns his car around, goes back to the grocery store parking lot, finds the woman digging in a trash can with her son next to her. And in very, she's not speaking perfect English or pretty broken English, right? She explains that she came here with the other refugees, and she was placed with a family that was abusive. And this woman decided that the safer position would be to walk out and be homeless with her 5-year-old in a country where she has no job. She hardly speaks the language. She has no money. So he connected her with Catholic Charities, and they're housing people, transitional housing. And he was asking his community if any of us could offer things to set up a kitchen, light furniture, and a security deposit. And I wrote back and I went, "Oh my God, you guys are amazing. Like, absolutely. We will cover the security deposit. We'll see what furniture we can gather. You're salt of the earth. Like, you're wonderful. Thank you for asking us." And he wrote back and he said, "Are you kidding me, Sheena? We wouldn't have even thought to help if it wasn't for watching you all these years." And I have so many stories of past clients who are like that. So do your part, give during the day, during the evening, and I promise you're going to have a business you're proud of, a business of significance.
Generosity is contagious. That's what I'm hearing. And it's a contagion that we all need to catch. And the first part is we got to go first. I don't want to make this a preacher type of scenario, but one who is generous shall be prosperous. Well, we got to go first. We have the first in generosity. And then also it says, "He who refreshes others shall himself be refreshed." We got to refresh others first. We got to go first. So, and you go back to faith, like you said, have faith that this model works. Well, I mean, the Bible's really old and it's worked since that time and before. Somebody had to write it. So whoever wrote it had to know that it worked. And having the faith that, hey, listen, this give first, this give massive value first approach works. And it is going to come back. And I mean, you've triggered another thought in my head. Is just like, I teach this thing called the 7 gifts of generosity, because so many people think generosity is money. Like they think it's, oh, I don't have the money. But there are really everyone has 7 gifts of generosity. So
Mm-hmm.
the first gift is thought, like thinking about another person, just thinking about another person and then taking some action. Like an example of that is a handwritten note. You
Mm-hmm.
think about someone and then you write a handwritten note and they get it. That's a gift. A handwritten note's one of the best gifts you could ever send. So thought plus action. But here's the other thing I want you to know about thought plus that. We think, well, thinking about other people, that's easy, but how often do you actually do it? And the other thing is, what is a referral? A referral is somebody else thinking about us and taking
Mm-hmm.
action on our behalf. And that's just the first gift. The second gift is talk. Like talk, speaking positively about others, using our voice. And Sheena, you do this very well. Using our voice to help others, using our position, our influence, our network, our leadership to help others. Talk, like speak about others, and we need to realize that it's easy to champion a champion. So when
Mm-hmm.
you champion others, people will champion you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons they will champion you is because you champion others. They think to themselves, if I say good things about Sheena, you know what's going to happen? Sheena is going to say good things about me. Why? Because I just saw Sheena champion somebody else. So talk is the second gift of generosity. And then talent. Like you said, what did you do before you were in real estate? Use that to help others. And what is your talent? Some of us have IT talent. Like we can help people with computers. I can help people get referrals. I can help, like I have other talents that I can use that doesn't cost any money. And then the next one is treasure. Like treasure is one. And honestly, that's where I'm at in life. I tend to use the gift of generosity treasure more than I used to because I used to not have it. So, but now it's a one I can use and make an impact with people around the world. And then we have our this is the one everyone needs to build as a muscle is the gift of generosity of team. And your
Mm-hmm.
team or your tribe is your sphere of influence. You say you leverage your network for good. You're leveraging your team or your tribe for good. And that is a gift of generosity is your tribe or team or network. And then we have the last two, by the way, they all start with the letter T for those of you keeping score at
Oh.
home. But the sixth one is teach, like
Mm-hmm.
teach another. And that is an act of generosity. And please understand that when you teach another, two people are learning. And what research has shown is that the number one way to learn is by teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So take what you've learned from this, take what you learn and like force yourself that I'm going to teach it to another agent or I'm going to teach it to my 17-year-old son. And when you take accountability of the material, you actually understand and know the material better because you're teaching. So you're actually becoming better with this act of generosity. And then the seventh is maybe the most precious gift of generosity, and it's time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can give your time to nonprofits. You can give your time to a friend and just sit there and listen. Somebody that's lost a mother recently and just sit on the phone quietly and just like let them talk when they talk and just understand you have no idea what they're feeling. So don't act like you know what they're feeling. But time is also a gift of generosity that we all have to give, a very precious one. So you've really like we have more than just money to give as generosity and to lead with generosity. And you inspired that in me, Sheena. I mean, this is this is a podcast that people are going to, I hope, listen to for inspiration over and over and over again and download it and share it and rate it and review it and love on it and love on you and send all their referrals to DC to Sheena. So this was awesome. This is one of my favorite hours I have ever spent on this earth. And I'm not saying that, I'm not joking. I'm serious.
Oh my God, thank you. Same. Thank you for distilling all my thoughts and just being. I feel like I've never. People always ask when I'm going to write a book. I will never write a book because I cannot sit myself down to do it. But maybe we should write a book. You can write it. I'll talk, and you put all the things you already know. And yeah, we got a plan.
I love that idea. I would love to write a book with you. It would have to be, I promised Gary Keller 5 books in the next 5 years. So, and I have them outlined. So 6 years, 6th book, Sheena, we are on, right? Are you good?
Yes, 100%.
All right. I can't wait. I can't wait. And I'll let you title it, because Everything is Free Yard Sale is the greatest title in the history of yard sale titles. So I'm just saying that's the most attractive, like sold out. You should sell tickets to it. That would be the best. You need to sell tickets for $20. Everything is Free Yard Sale, tickets for $20. Everything goes to charity. I'm just telling you, it's like the great. I love that. I love that. I'm a marketing guy, right? So anyway, you're awesome. I appreciate you. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and your time here with us today. I've appreciated every moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Appreciate you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sheena Saydam, I'm telling you, it was worth shaving your legs for. It is. This was such a great moment. Everybody, please, if you like what you heard today and you want to learn more about how to utilize generosity to get prosperity in your life, go to joingengen.com. Join us in the generosity generation. Join GenGen, GENGEN.com, JOINGENGEN.com. We'd love to have you. We appreciate you, and we will see you next time on Referrals Podcast.